Welcome back. Tourism Minister Dominic Fady says 2020 Carnival is projected to produce even greater arrival figures than was recorded in 2019. With an influx of interest from regional event promoters and the full support of the government, he says St. Lucia Carnival is set to retain the title of fastest growing carnival in the region. Shaka Wooding tells us more.
Nearly 4 years ago, the focus of St. Lucia's events tourism efforts was shifted from the annual St. Lucia Jazz Festival to St. Lucia Carnival, which, according to Tourism Minister Dominic Fady, was a major move in the modernization of St. Lucia's tourism product, with annually increasing arrival figures during the summer months. Minister Fady says the present administration is mindful of the contribution of this niche to the success of the tourism sector, and as such will do all in its power to foster continued growth of St. Lucia Carnival.
As long as this government is at the helm of the administration of government, we will ensure that Carnival is the biggest festival among the St. Lucia summer festivals. And so I want to congratulate everyone who have had a role in ensuring that we had a tremendous 2019. 2020 promises to be even bigger and better and exciting.
Fady says he frequently interacts with regional promoters who have shown keen interest in investing in St. Lucia Carnival, and he anticipates the unveiling of several partnerships between St. Lucia and Trinidad for Carnival 2020. The development of Carnival, he says, not only benefits the tourism sector, but also opens up avenues for other opportunities.
In that whole restructuring, we wanted to bring St. Lucia, St. Lucia's culture, St. Lucia's music, St. Lucia's people, and St. Lucia's festivals, to bring them forward. And what we did was we said that Carnival had to be the #1 festival, because in that era, you would note that the production levels of jazz really was superior to what you did in Gine Creole and in Carnival and some of the other authentically St. Lucian festivals. I am so happy that we have seen, after 3 years of this policy shift, that Carnival has received the adequate financing that it requires to take it to the next level.
Fady says he attributes much of the growth of Carnival to the continued success of the Dennery segment genre, and he expects that as the reach of the Dennery segment expands, it will invite the wider global community to come play mass in St. Lucia. For Hot 7 News, I am Jacques Wooding.
Residents of Pahlavi and Maynard Hill say of late the communities have turned into an eyesore, reason being the large volume of waste that is disposed indiscriminately. A group of residents is seeking to mobilize efforts to undertake a massive cleanup and to impart knowledge on proper garbage disposal and waste management practices.
A rallying call is being made to residents of Pahlavi and Maynard Hill to come together to clean up the mess which residents say now unfortunately characterizes the communities. Police officer Alex Morgan has been a resident of Pahlavi for over 40 years. He says the problem has grown out of control of late and requires a combined effort to ensure the health and safety of all residents is not compromised by bad waste management practices that encourage the breeding of rodents. The communities will host a massive cleanup in February, but ahead of that endeavor, a sensitization meeting will be held on Sunday, the 19th of January. Environmental Officer Charlotte Charles says the forum is absolutely necessary.
As you realize, the area is not only used by Pahlavi members, but persons pass through this area as a shortcut getting into town when there's a traffic congestion in the Latok and the Mon Road, and is used by all persons. The tourists use it, the schools use it, the bus drivers, taxi drivers, everybody use it. And it's right now becoming an eyesore. And the garbage, dumping of garbage, the indiscriminate dumping of garbage is really causing a problem for the area. And we have seen an influx of rodents now coming to take over that place. So it is, out of that concern, we have seen it necessary. And it is stemmed by some members within the community. I think many persons share the concern, but just some persons went forward to ensure that it is done and that it is addressed.
Officials say a cleanup alone is not enough, as the record shows that soon after, people return to their bad habits. Zonal Supervisor of the St. Lucia Solid Waste Management Authority, Davis Mathre, says the agencies are therefore looking to bring about a change in mindset by getting people to understand the full consequences of illegal dumping and improper garbage disposal.
The dialogue was first initiated by a group of concerned citizens from the Pahlavi community. Upon further investigation, we saw massive issues with sanitation, rodent control, garbage collection and disposal within that community. And we realized that there was a need to bring the community together and to have some level of intervention.
The sensitization meeting will take place at the Maynard Hill Pavé Junction on Sunday, the 19th of January from 3 p.m.
The annual ASU Square event went off without a hitch. That's according to a report by the Office of the Mayor in conjunction with fire and law enforcement officials. Solange Alfred tells us more.
The 2020 edition of ASU Square has been boasted as an incident-free event that offered patrons a wide range of activities to indulge in. A press conference held at the Office of the Mayor on Wednesday, 15th January, provided City Council officials, in collaboration with law enforcement and fire officials, the opportunity to provide an in-depth analysis of ASU Square. CEO of Castries City Council, Wilfred Pierre, stated the appeal of ASU Square continues to grow yearly.
Coming in the future, we have to look at the entertainment to see whether we can have a real top artist that can actually draw a lot of persons. That's one of the things that we have to look at. And also, as I said, it's the overflow. I think it's something that we have to see whether we can bring more activities for children. When you saw ASU Square, it was a children thing. It was a lot of children, there were a lot of toys. And one thing, it reminds me, and I mean, person of my age, of how we used to really look, you laugh at me, to look for ASU Square, the toes, and we have to look at bringing the toes back. There was a little pie banana thing there, but we really have to look at the toes, bringing back toes. So as I said, overall, it's a very successful thing for us. We have to continue with the live, to have a live feed, not only on just the last day, but also to really look at the complete 2 days.
Though the activity was praised for its incident-free nature, one area of alarm for the mayor of Castries, Peterson Francis, was the proliferation of toy guns. When asked if toy guns would be banned from the festivities in the coming year, the mayor said the drive will be focused more on education, not prohibition.
I mean, every toy, you understand the shape, the gun, and what the perception it has. We have other toys. I mean, let's say we take a car, we have a thing and so on. And as far as you're concerned, that car is supposed to go 100 miles an hour. Isn't that in their mind too, that when they grow up, they could be able to drive cars as fast as possible? I mean, we have to educate our people. We have to tell them about, I mean, the toy guns, what is it. And I don't think these children has reached that level to say they're going to use that gun to hold up somebody and some other. But again, it's something we have to be careful. We'd rather not have them, but I don't think we can ban them. Because, I mean, I grew up with I love my toys, I have my gun too. You understand? So we must not, you know, because the more we try to hide things from people, the more they'll try to access it.
Meanwhile, major financial support was given to the Castries City Council by the private sector. Two big names that sponsored the council were telecommunications giant Flow and Peter & Company Distribution. Brand manager at PCD, Tamara Edmonds, expressed her appreciation with being a part of the traditional festival that opens the new year in St. Lucia.
We are indeed honored to have been the main sponsor of this uniquely St. Lucian celebration to welcome the new year through communal friendship and family fun. Born in St. Lucia almost 129 years ago, PCD is proud to be 100% St. Lucian, and we are committed to supporting our country's rich culture in all its varied forms. Events like ASU Square are essential to preserve our traditions and national identity, filling us with pride camaraderie, hope, and optimism as we begin a new year and decade together.
Officials at the Castries City Council also commended the efforts of the 200-plus sanitation officers who ensured the streets of Castries were returned to pristine condition following the two-day activity. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Minister for External Affairs Sarah Flood-Bobra says St. Lucia faces a dilemma as it seeks to improve national security by securing its borders and continuing to attract record numbers of visitors to the island. Flood-Bobra says as St. Lucia continues to broaden its tourism niche markets, its shores are even more vulnerable to the dangers of the wider world.
Recent uproar between Middle Eastern power Iran and United States President Donald Trump has left the global community wary about possible attacks not only against President Trump and his administration, but smaller-scale attacks against American citizens and territories which they inhabit, whether permanent or temporary. External Affairs Minister Sarah Flood-Bobra says though highlighted by this incident, the issue of terrorism is an ever-present concern for Caribbean territories. With tourism as a major source of income for many developing countries, Bobra says the issue of border control without visa reform or risk of discrimination is a tedious one to address.
We have done that in the past in terms of always being very careful, and our visa regime is something that we must always look at very carefully to review, to see where terrorists are likely to come from and what restrictions we can put in place. We want to encourage tourism. We always want to do that. We want to encourage people to visit our shores, whether it be for investment or for pleasure. And we want to remain open and welcoming to the visitor. But at the same time, we want to protect our people, our citizens, and the persons who visit. So it calls for always vigilance and ensuring that we balance things properly.
She says until legislation can be put in place to bolster national security in regards to terrorism, it is of utmost importance for persons involved in the tourism sector, especially at the nation's ports, to exercise extreme vigilance.
We can have all the rules, but it is the application of those rules. And here I want to speak of and commend the persons who work on our ports, because we can have all of the rules and systems, but vigilance, dedication, diligence. And also all of us, something doesn't look right. What am I going to do about it? So unfortunately, it's not easy, and we can't live as though we're in jail. We have to be free people, individuals. We've got to live with freedom, but at the same time, absolute vigilance.
Flood-Bobra says the issue of terrorism is much closer than you would think. She says this common misconception has led to discrimination against various groups of people, but she urged the public to realize that the mind of a terrorist could hide behind any face, regardless of race, religion, or cultural affiliations. For Hot 7 News, I am Jacques Wooding.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. Sports and weather are coming up after the break.